It's August 6th, and we are likely facing one of the strangest movements we've seen from Bitcoin in recent months. Not only have we seen many signals indicating a shift in movement towards, in the short term that is, downwards. We've seen it for several days, not just in the forecast we make during the week, that is, for a week or 10 days, but also in the long term. We have seen those signals time and time again. However, the price, even against all expectations, has gone to 64,000 and has even, well, it has gone a bit past it, meaning it has managed to graze, well, not just graze, it has reached right up to 65,000. Today, like other days, we're going to look for the price movement based on what the strong hands are doing. That is to say, there is a very small group of people or institutions with a lot of money in all markets. Now we're talking about Bitcoin that move the price and the indicators at their whim. Let's see what is happening. Let's look at those clues that always appear on the chart. In other words, volume always determines what the strong hands are going to do. Let's look at that volume, how it is influencing this movement, and let's look at the forecast for the week. We are also going to look at the long term. Without further ado, let's get right into the analysis. Let's see what is happening. First of all, you know that we always start on the 4-hour chart, which is our general headquarters, but we like to see those Wyckoff phases in the long term. Here we are in a long-term accumulation. We already saw it appearing, heading towards the 60,000 zone. In other words, the channel marking the long-term accumulation zone is composed of support at 60,000 and resistance at 68,000. We'll see it later on the 4-hour chart as well, but to give you a clear idea, we saw that move towards 60,000, but take a look at this last candle that appears in green with a wick on the bottom. It gives us something to think about regarding that move towards 60,000, or simply some position taking at 64,000. We are, therefore, in the long term, although we are in accumulation, there is a hesitant phase, we could say, regarding what it's going to do, whether to go to 60,000 or go look for highs. Let's find out by going to the 4-hour chart. Very well, we've seen that it didn't appear or tell us anything. And what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we are seeing it now as well. What is in the price action, you know it's support resistance, as I've told you. In the long term and in the 4-hour chart, they are the same, which are 60,000, 68,000, and the middle of the channel, 64,000. In this case, the middle of the channel, in this movement, of accumulation in the long term and zooming in, we see that 64,000 is the element, the level, the price that is marking everything, this whole accumulation in Bitcoin. Okay, now let's see if we continue with price action. We still haven't looked for institutions via volume to see those wicks that appear again and again, and each time with fewer wicks, we could call them, of counterbalance on the bottom side. When we saw the first signs indicating that the movement was going to go downward because it was reaching 64,000, we started to see breaking wicks and reversal wicks on the upper side. However, we were also seeing some wicks on the bottom side that we could interpret as it not being the right time yet. And every time one of these phases appears, the wicks on the bottom side are smaller, and on the top side, they're larger. Look at this second attempt, which was yesterday. We already see some very long wicks on the top side, and they have practically disappeared on the bottom side. And now we are in this last moment. We arrive at another element of support resistance of the very short term, that is to say in an hour, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, very important, such as 65,000, and we start to see wicks on the top side again, and now the wicks on the bottom side disappear completely. It is telling us that the movement to try to lower the price is getting stronger each time. Okay, we have the price action set up, which is clearly indicating that trend to look for that zone we pointed out these previous days around the mid-lower channel, which is 64,000. Okay, let's look at the volume to see what is happening with the institutions and what we can interpret. Very well. You know that we look for elements above 1.5 trillion or that are close to it. For example, we also consider this peak a volume peak, even though it doesn't reach 1.5. And what we are seeing is quite a bit of interest from institutions in maintaining this price. That is to say, a volume wick appears, a wick of manifestation from the strong hands. A manifestation candle from the strong hands in volume with an upper wick. If you look closely, they always appear with those movements. In other words, the strong hands are controlling this movement and are dictating how far it will go at each step. They have been trying to deceive us more than usual, and that's why they've pushed the price not just to 64,000, but to 65,000. We shouldn't assume that the price is going to go above those 65,000. It is reaching a very important zone. It seems the strong hands don't want it to pass that zone, and the normal thing would be to see 64,000 now. It might bounce because you've already seen that 64,000 attracts the price with a lot of intensity in any movement. The only time it broke through clearly and practically without a retest in the very short term was here a week ago. But now 64 is really attracting the price. The movement we will see, that we are waiting for, you have to be careful with these tricks from the strong hands when they are more, let's say, more active than usual, and trying to execute not just their strategy, but a counter move. And you have to be very, very attentive, very cautious. But what we can expect is what we were waiting for, to look for 64,000. It might drag on a little bit in time. Today is Thursday, August 6th. We are waiting for the weekend. You know that the weekend also has its own idiosyncrasies, but what we can expect is a touch of 64,000, an attempt at a breakout, and appearing next week in this zone. In other words, the forecast we were making continues to be confirmed by these clues. However, it seems to be delayed a bit in time. We've set the long term. We're in accumulation, waiting, of course, for the breakout at some point of the 68 resistance, and a move towards 70, 80, even 90 in the medium to long term. We've set the week, 10 days, waiting for the price here. Yesterday, I also mentioned to you, if a volume spike of 1.5 came in, accompanied by a candle spread that was consistent, we saw that 1.5. However, the candle spread wasn't as clear as we expected to signal an upward movement. That is, the option B we were discussing. We did see it. The candle spread was exactly half the length, meaning half wick, half spread. And we understand that it's not strong enough to push the price to other highs. A high would be around near 67,000, and it wasn't the most determining factor. In the event that we now see another volume spike of 1.5 and a spread similar to this one, it doesn't even need to be complete, just similar is enough. Then we could indeed understand that it might look for the 67 zone. It's like I was telling you in yesterday's video, a plan B, but one that we always have to keep on the table and keep in mind for any clue that might confirm that option and lead us to choose it. That is, to discard option A and lean towards option B. But in principle, the option that we are taking into account, both in terms of price action and the appearance of strong hands, option A, is to hit 64,000, try to play there, and see the price in this zone next week, although the whole movement is being delayed a bit. Now let's look at what scalping or intraday trading is to see what those most suitable moments to enter are. We have seen, as I was telling you, there are 3 elements we always have to look at: finding support or resistance in the 30 or 15-minute zone, depending on which chart you work with or which one you feel more comfortable with. Look for wicks that give you a rejection or a change in direction. Arrival, as I tell you, at the support or resistance you have marked, as I explain in my course, for which I have left the link in the description with a 50% discount. The arrival at that support or resistance you've marked, 65, is a very important resistance. The appearance of wicks and the appearance of volume. Let's see. Let's put the simple volume back on. It's the one that gives the most clues about the institutions. We've seen the volume growing a bit, not too much, but we could definitely consider entering a short at this moment, looking for 64,000 or an area close to 64,000. Also, 64,200 has been a fairly active zone when we talk about scalping or intraday trading. I wanted to tell you that the VIP Telegram, which is where I post the 2 trades I make per day, has already reached the limit of 100 people. And if you want to join the community, the way I'm leaving open now is if you sign up for the exchange I use for all my trades, which I consider the best, which is mexc.com, and make your first deposit. In that case, you can join the VIP Telegram, and I'll give you a 1 month free to participate in the VIP Telegram. I also wanted to mention, obviously, the August challenge, still on standby. It's a bit stuck, precisely because of the forecast that we made about the price being below 64,000. And since that arrival is being delayed, that movement for the August challenge is also being delayed. However, since I consider that at the latest it will reach that zone next week, I'm still keeping it. The challenge, in case you don't know, consists of me starting on August 1st with $500 on MEXC, and what I do with that account is make micro entries every day of $15, $20, and eventually $30. When the account grows, I do no more than 1 entry per day. You can see that sometimes the price gets stuck. I simply wait. If I see that it goes too far, I would close the position, but no, that's not the usual thing. And what I'm going to do is, with whatever I earn at the end of the month, in case I do earn, and in July I did earn $592, I'll raffle it off among all of you who meet the condition I mentioned for the VIP, which also applies to this, signing up on mexc.com and making your first deposit. I'm Michael Vasquez. This is Daily Bitcoin Analysis. I really appreciate you watching this video, and as I always tell you, this is not financial advice. Rather, I am sharing my experience with you after more than 15 years in professional trading. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video. We are going to see the arrival at 64,000 now. We are going to analyze those clues. We're going to see if it reaches 64,000 and breaks through clearly, or, on the other hand, it gets close to 64,000, maybe 64,200, and bounces back. It's very important to look at those elements. See you tomorrow.